You know, sure, let's just go ahead and start by talking why school is or isn't a scam.
Do you want us up like this, facing this, or how do you want us?
Just for now. I mean,
it doesn't seem like it's natural. It seems like we're here for debate.
All right. Is college a scam? I'm going to say that it's a scam for most people, what they were told they will get out of it and what they expect to get out of it going into it.
So, well, you say they. So when you say they, who's the they telling you what you're going to get out of it?
I think they is the colleges themselves. I think it's a lot of people who advocate for college education. They say, if you go, you're going to get a good job, you're going to do well, you're going to et cetera, whatever. I think that's far from a guarantee. I think it takes a lot more than a simple college education to secure a good job. So I think it's something that is overpromised, underdelivered, and ends these young adults who are getting into college in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt.
So, but at the same time, we have so many people out there running companies, managers, being entrepreneurs, who launched their careers through college, who worked their way up because they got their MBA or they became engineers. I can virtually tell you everyone working at a pharmaceutical company who's making the next drug, etc. They didn't learn this stuff on their own. They went to college, they studied engineering, they studied chemistry, and they're changing the world. And so we can look at a lot of counterexamples of people who are making it work.
I would counter with the fact that I don't think most people are going to college to try and be the next person, to try and be the next Einstein, to try and change the world dramatically. I think most people are going to school because they want to provide a good life for themselves and their families, and I think that is not as often the case as it should be. It's not the case as much as they're being promised it will.
So maybe you've heard the story of Luke Skywalker. So he was the less famous cousin of Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker's big deal was he always felt like lightsabers were a scam because he found a lightsaber and he started flashing around. Next thing you know, he cuts his arm off. He's like, who is selling these lightsabers because they say they're going to help you fight people, but I just cut my arm off with. So does he have a point that the lightsaber is a scam? Or could he say there's user error attached to it?
Where did he get the lightsaber? Was he promised by other lightsaber users that, oh yeah, this is all you need and it's going to be great, and so long as you have this, you're good to go? Or was he told that, hey, this is a good step, a good building block, but you also need to do X, Y, Z, you also need to figure out networking, you also need to do this and that and the other?
So can we divorce, is college a scam, or is a lightsaber a scam? Can we divorce that from the idea that so and so person, such and such person, isn't giving us good advice? Because I think that a lot of people have shown that college is not a scam, and people who are not doing it well, maybe they're taking bad advice from the wrong people.
But what happens when the wrong people is the colleges?
Who is the college? The colleges can't talk. So who are the
college representative, people in charge of promoting the colleges in whatever form that takes?
Sure. You always have to be cautious when you're dealing with a salesman, because if you have a college recruiter, just like I went to the Army because the recruiter told me it was going to make me all I can be, and I ended up not being all I could be, even though I joined the Army. So we understand people who sell things are going to say things. So all of us have a little bit of an obligation to take salesmanship with a grain of salt, right? And so, but we can recognize, hey, here's a great tool. Just like the gym is a great tool. A lot of people go to the gym, they don't go anywhere with it because they're not using it well. Doesn't mean the salesperson for the gym was lying. The gym can transform your life, but you got to invest yourself in understanding how to use it to make it change your life.
Let me go and ask this as well. College, it something to put on a resume, or is it something that actually gives you skills, or is it both? Why is it so encouraged by so many people? What are the biggest benefits?
I think for different reasons. Clearly, if you are a college representative selling it, you're encouraging it because you want money. But I think there are two basic benefits traditionally that people look to college for. The one is the classic education and the belief that regardless of whether this improves your income or not, it is valuable to be well educated because it's going to make you a better citizen. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to vote for better things and better outcomes. And we'd rather be surrounded by neighbors who are well educated and doing smart things than just a bunch of lunkheads. So it just makes the society run better when everybody kind of understands how the world works better. Secondarily, then I think people began looking at colleges to make them more marketable. And I don't think that was necessarily the classic reason for college. In fact, professors tend to have the most education out of anybody, but people in the business world tend to out-earn professors. So there's not a direct relationship between education and earnings power, but we do believe that the more you know, the better educated you are, likely the better you're going to be able to provide for yourself as well. However, we also have to realize you can't spend 4 years studying basket weaving and expect that to transform you into a marketable skill. So each student who enters college has to be an agent, and they get to make choices about what they're going to study, and it's on them to make choices that are going to pay off, and not just listen to the college salesperson and blame them for when things don't go well.
So I want to talk a little bit about my experience in college, because it's something where, I was one of these people who's told, you go, you'll get a good job on the other end, and come out, whatever, it's going to be great. I went to college in the first, year or two. It's spent just kind of taking these classes that you already pretty much took in high school, and of course they're charging you the entire time you're going. Then on top of that, once you do get to the advanced classes, it's a matter of, now you have, a half dozen classes that are very heavy in material. You got a huge workload to the point where it is nearly impossible to meaningfully learn and retain the information that is being attempted to being taught. And I have a big issue with the way that a lot of these courses were taught. But you make it through, you do whatever, whether you learn or remember any of that, it's going to be iffy. And then when I first got my first internship, I learned much more in my first year there than I did in the 4 years going to school. So I guess my question would be, why do we as a society place so much value on going to school as opposed to simply jumping into a career field like that? I would have been able to do just from the get-go, and I don't think that would have been an issue.
Okay. Did anyone study your same major and come out with a good job and say they were glad they went to college?
I'm sure they're out there.
So instead of saying, because for them, I'm sure the answer to was college a scam, I'm sure they say no, prepared me well. So perhaps the question is not, is college a scam? Because I think the answer to that is clearly no. I think the question that we should perhaps be addressing is, when does college pay off well and when does it not? What are the factors? And it can relate to what you're studying, it can relate to networking, it can relate to who you are, it can relate to all kinds of things. How do you make college pay off and do what, how do you get what you wanted to get out of college?
If I had to do it again, I think networking would be a big thing that nobody talked about. I'll tell you what, I went through all 4 years of college, and then the very last semester I took like a career readiness course or whatever, I think is one of the required courses, and they're like, oh yeah, networking is going to be huge, you have to talk to everybody, like 80% of the jobs people get after college are all through networking, in which is very much a case. Sending in applications is almost worthless. I have not talked to a single person who got a job through just submitting an application. It's all through a friend of a friend of a friend. But to be told that in the very last semester of college and not really have anybody talk about it at all for the 3.5 years leading up to it, that felt like a little bit of a slap in the face. Kind of like, well, then if that is the case, if most jobs are landed through networking, not through education or credentials alone, what have I been doing here?
Well,
so,
go ahead.
That's just one of the things I do different. Going back, I would make networking a bigger priority. Now, as for the courses themselves, I actually don't think that would change anything about what I did. I think because I took on a heavier workload to get through school faster, graduate sooner, get into the workforce, which I, again, think I learned much more in the workforce than I did at schools. So it was a chance to just kind of kickstart my own hands-on learning if option B would be I stay in school longer, don't take as many courses each semester, maybe delve into them more. But on that side of things, I don't see the payoff to that, because a vast majority of the courses I took, I do not use in my day-to-day life as a server admin right now. So I took a lot of programming classes, I took a lot of, advanced networking, etc. And the stuff I use is minimal. So I would say get through it, get that piece of paper, get your degree, and get to work, get that hands-on experience. I see minimal benefit to putting in any meaningful effort into the vast majority of your classes. Just get in, get out, get that paper.
Now, how specific is your comment to the IT major at BYU Idaho versus a commentary on college generally?
I think it applies to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people will get out of college, they'll get a job, and they'll realize, hey, the vast majority of courses I took in college don't directly apply to what I'm doing right now.
But if you only study the things that relate to what your first job is in college, are you kind of confining yourself because you have experience in nothing besides that one particular job? Or is there something about the breadth of knowledge you get from college that prepares you for shifting across different fields within IT?
I think that any benefit is quite minimal, because I think that, let's say you do study, I study programming in depth for, a year, whatever. I get out, I don't use it for the next 3, 4, 5 years at my next job, my first job out of school. And then I decide I want to go back into something now. How much of that am I going to still remember or know? Not much. I think that might give me a very slight edge. And
okay, we're done.